Hey guys, OG Albina here, bringing you guys another Sword and Shield discussion, draft league type video. Today we're going to be talking about some new leaks that recently did come out. Now, if you haven't heard already, a lot of the new Tutor moves that came out recently in the Isle of Armor DLC, data miners were able to grab from the code Pokemon that aren't in the game necessarily yet, that will learn some of those moves and which ones they can learn, stuff like that. And I think a lot of these have some really big competitive implications, just like the ones obviously when they learn them that are in the game right now did. So I kind of wanted to discuss them because there's some that I'm really excited about, some that I think really deserve attention. I haven't really heard anybody talk about this from like a draft league perspective yet. If I did, I apologize. Just haven't seen the video yet. I've seen a lot from the VGC side and from the Smogon single side, but I wanted to give it more of a draft league perspective on Pokemon I think really benefited from these new moves. I think that's really amazing for them. So first off, I do want to talk. We're gonna go move by move and kind of me talking about the more relevant ones and why I think they're more relevant. And so for first off, we're gonna start with Dual Wing Beat. Now, if you don't know what Dual Wing Beat is, it is a double hitting move. It's a physical flying type move that has, is it 40 base power per hit? Let me double check. Dual Wing Beat. Yeah, it's 40 base power for each, so it's basically an 80 base power, physical flying stab, and a lot of cool Pokemon got it. And the Pokemon I'm going to be more so showcasing in this video that got it are Pokemon that were very, very strong offensive flying types that didn't necessarily have great flying stabs, so this is a great buff to them, and, having a more offensive version, or at least a physically offensive version of said stabs. So the first one that comes to mind from like a National Dex DLC type league on Showdown, stuff like that, is going to be Mega Aerodactyl. Now, if you know me, Mega Aero is one of my favorite Megas to use in the format. I think it's ridiculously good. It's ridiculously fast. It's so strong. The Tough Claws boost is great, but now it has a stronger physical flying stab. And don't get me wrong, Aerial Ace and Wing Attack are 100% usable, especially when you factor in the Tough Claws boost and how strong this Pokemon is. But Dual Wing Beat is that, just stronger. You are risking a miss, but Aero does have access to Home Claws, which is something it definitely runs a lot, and you obviously can Dragon Dance up with these DLC moves, so this thing is ridiculously powerful in that sense, and I think it getting a little bit stronger of a physical flying stab really helps it out. It doesn't break it like getting a Brave Bird was, like Brave Bird Tough Claws boosted would be disgusting, but having that 80 base power move that has that at least that little drawback of missing is really good for this thing. For example, I remember, I think it was Silver was posting an AP staff. We were just talking about a lot of these moves being a lot of staff and then initially dropped. A +1 Adamant Mega Aerodactyl, whether it be Home Claws or Dragon Dance. A +1 Adamant Dual Wing Beat, which it can run 99% of the time is Adamant, does it's 2-hit KO and Hippowdon after rocks 80% of the time, even if it's max to death, and that is ridiculous. This Pokemon can do that with just its stab, not even a super effective coverage move. So I think that's obviously amazing for Aero. I think it's great. Two other Pokemon that really benefited from this, while they had a flying stab and fly before, they're not the most usable move in competitive sense. Like, obviously you can be like sub fly sets and things like that. They definitely have their use, especially in the draft league setting. But Salamence and Dragonite getting Dual Wing Beat is awesome. It makes DD sets a lot better in my opinion, especially with the loss of Z moves in this generation. Not being able to run Z Fly for that nuke, you wouldn't really see flying coverage on these guys unless they were special. Now, if again, you know me, I love Ments. I used it in APA Evo recently. It was my kill leader. I got it to 16-6 in like 10 games. And I didn't have Dual Wing Beat. I didn't run physical flying stab once the entire season. Didn't run fly at all. I run special about half the time because I think special Ments is a phenomenal wall breaker, especially if you're counting in DLC moves where it gets Hurricane and Air Slash now. But I think this gives an even bigger layer of versatility to Ments in the sense that it can now click Dual Wing Beat for a flying stab and be a fearsome DD sweeper with that flying stab on top of it. I think that's amazing. Same thing with Dragonite, though. I think a little bit less so on the DD side. I think D-Knight is phenomenal with the boots out. Like, they're both great bulky with boots as well. I think that's another thing you have to keep in mind with these Pokemon. They're not like physical sweeper, special wall breaker, or nothing. They're also really ridiculously bulky, especially with the advent of heavy duty boots this generation. They can be really bulky. I think that Dragonite might be the better DD sweeper overall, just because of the guaranteed multi-scale with the boots, while Ments might be, the more versatile, better overall Pokemon, at least in my personal opinion, in the way I've used them. But I think D-Knight, this really helps it out. Having that flying step is amazing, because like I said, I think this thing wants to run Dragon Dance a lot more than Ments does. I think Ments is more so tailored to running mixed sets, more so tailored to running full special sets, just great wall breaking sets, while D-Knight is going to be that one that sets up and wins, and if you get the proper chip on things, you get +1, hit things with Dual Wing Beat. It's obviously amazing. And we have Archeops, another Pokemon that had like Wing Attack and Aerial Ace and like Fly and stuff like that. Really hated the loss of Z moves. It's one of my favorite low tier Pokemon, like in tier 4, tier 5. absolutely love it. I think it's a great speed tier. It's ridiculously strong too, and I think boots really help it out in making it to where it's not always dropping below 50%. You know, after 2 switch-ins and things like that. So I think it really, you know, benefits from that as well. And let's go ahead and jump on to the next move, though. So next up, we have Scorching Sands. Now, if you don't know what Scorching Sands does, it is a 70 base power special ground type move. And it's essentially ground type Scald in the sense that it has a 30% to burn the target if you do hit it with it. And this is obviously a really, really solid move for a lot of Pokemon that end up getting it this gen. In particular, I think it was great for Palossand. Like, obviously, it's phenomenal for that thing. Makes it so much more threatening defensively. Let me move over. So, Big Teeny has a little bit of a spotlight. I kind of position him a little bit weird in the in pre-production. But there's a lot of Pokemon that end up getting Scorching Sands. Like, a ridiculous amount. Pretty much any fire or ground type you can think of got it, which is obviously really good. And a lot of them, it's great coverage for. Like, ones I don't have on this list are like Typhlosion and Blaziken and things like that, Infernape. And while I think they could definitely make use of them in a draft league setting, very good. These are the Pokemon I think will make the most use of them and have the most, you know, benefit out of them and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and get into it. First off, it's going to be Victini, chilling right there. He's a little hidden. I had to move over my chair for him. But he is going to be in a really good spot with this move. Victini did not have any ground type coverage before, so this is great. Helps it hit those rock types that want to come in on the V-Creates of the world, and the Blue Flares of the world, and things like that. And obviously, baiting burns is really, really nice. I think bulkier teeny sets are a lot better with the advent of boots, and I think that's a big kind of thing with a couple of these mons that ended up getting Scorching Sands. Is bulkier fire types are definitely a lot better, so having one sit around and burn things and not have to worry about coming in on rocks all the time, really, really solid. I think this is great for Victini and burning things. Moltres, especially, I think it's great because not only is it a bulky, annoying nuisance, now you have a move that's gonna, you know, be able to burn a lot of things. It's gonna make, like, you know, pressure stalling Moltres a little bit better. You can be Sub-Roost instead of, like, Toxic Flamethrower. You can be Scorching Sands Flamethrower. And Scorching Sands is great because of the fact that you hit those rock types that want to come in for free on you because you're a fire and flying type. So I think that's obviously super, super dope. Heatran, it's another thing that really benefits from it. While you can argue you have Lava Plume, you already hit those steel types, those rock types super effective with the Steel Stab and stuff like that. I still think it's a nice niche option. Some matchups being able to burn things with both Lava Plume and Scorching Sands, having both options is dope. Landorus, not like something that you would immediately think like, oh, Lando using a special, you know, burning move. In a draft league setting, you'll often see a lot more of a bulkier Landorus, and I think this is really nice for like bulky pivoting Landoruses and stuff like that. Being able to get off that passive damage with burns and, you know, continuously you turning around and things like that, I think it could really benefit it in specific niche matchups. Again, with a lot of these Pokemon with Scorching Sands too, I don't think these are like game-breaking form. Like, I don't think it's as big as like, you know, Dueling Beam, Mence, and Dragonite, but I do think they're niche options that really help it out. Blacephalon, it's dope because you already didn't have great coverage, so I think any coverage this thing gets is going to be awesome, and Houndoom is kind of a similar deal. So there's a million Pokemon that ended up getting this move. A couple that I left off this that I haven't even mentioned right now is going to be regular Camerupt. Obviously, Mega Camel doesn't really appreciate it because you're already, you know, Sheer Force, so you might as well run Earth Power, but regular Camel is a really nice low-tier threat or defensive check that checks a lot of the electric types in the game. That it's really, really solid. It's a great Coco and Zera check as well, so I think getting that is obviously a really nice buff to it. Zygarde, it could be cool for really fat Zygarde sets. Same thing with like Garchomp, like Helmet Chomp could really appreciate this move and stuff like that. They all got it. So Scorching Sands isn't necessarily like a game-breaking addition to a lot of these Pokemon movesets, but I think it really does help it out, you know, just in their versatility in this format. Next up, we got Grassy Glide, and there's 2 Pokemon that got this that really matters for. Now, obviously, you have Rillaboom right now, and it made Rillaboom skyrocket in popularity, especially in draft. And now I think 2, you know, even more menacing Pokemon get it. The first and biggest, obviously, being Tapu Bulu. I already think Tapu Bulu is immensely superior to Rillaboom in a draft setting. While Rillaboom does have a few things over it, I think Tapu Bulu is an immensely better Pokemon, especially when you factor in the fact that it got Play Rough and Close Combat and High Horsepower and all these cool moves, great coverage moves for it, which is obviously super dope. And now having that base 91, you know, priority in terrain is ridiculous when you're auto setting it for it. So I think Grassy Glide for Bulu makes it amazing. I think that really, really sets it over the top, makes it, you know, much less of a borderline fringe. Do I want to take this as my tier 1? To yes, this is a great Pokemon. I want it as my tier 1. At least personally, I've always been a big Bulu fan. And I think getting this is like really nice. And then another thing that got it was Kartana. Now, you wouldn't immediately think like, well, Kartana doesn't set terrain. It doesn't, but a core you'll often see a lot in a lot of teams is Blue Cart, just because Kartana becomes ridiculously powerful when you power it up with terrain. Your flying types don't really appreciate switching into the Leaf Blades anymore, but now instead of Leaf Blade, you can also have the option of clicking Grassy Glide and having that priority, which is ridiculous, especially on like a non-Scarf set, like an SD set, or even just like a Life Orb 4 attack set. I think that's really, really cool. So I think these two Pokemon both really, benefit from it. Kartana in more niche situations, only really when you have Bulu or you're playing against a Bulu, I suppose. But Bulu itself is going to run this a lot, like a ridiculous amount. So let's go ahead and jump on to the next move, though. So next up, we have a Scale Shot. Now, Scale Shot is a Dragon-type move. It is a multi-hit move, I believe, that has, 25 base power, but can hit up to like 5 times, just like every other move. Yeah, but it can hit up to 5 times, so it has the capabilities of being ridiculously strong. And a couple Pokemon that really appreciate it got this, because another side effect of it is when you use it, your speed goes up a stage, which is amazing for one Garchomp. Garchomp, it's really cool for. So a lot of people were either bummed or relieved to see that Garchomp did not get access to Dragon Dance via the DLC move tutors and stuff like that, because it honestly might have broken the Pokemon. I think if you could boost its speed and its attack in one move, good lord, that's terrifying to do it. Because Garchomp is already so ridiculously strong and so good as is, it would have made it borderline busted. But now you have that option to boost your speed, which is really cool because Garchomp hasn't had that opportunity before. So now you can run like cool double dance sets like Swords Dance, Scale Shot, Earthquake, Stone Edge, Fire Fang, something like that, to really just decimate through teams. So if you find that opportunity, you should be good. And especially in the metagame without hidden power, especially with how bulky Garchomp is, you're definitely going to benefit from that. Another Pokemon that I think is a little bit more of a niche use of it, but still appreciates it nonetheless, is going to be Zygarde. Now, it's not going to come very often, I don't think. I think it's more so of a niche, option for it. But having a Dragon style that's not either Dragon Tail, which is negative priority, which is, doesn't work on DD sets, and Outrage, which obviously locks you in, I think Scale Shot is a cool middle ground option to potentially have a Dragon Stab that doesn't, hurt you as much in a certain way. I mean, obviously you're taking the -1 defenses, and you're obviously not really appreciating the multi-hit aspect. It's not like, a guaranteed set amount of damage, but I think it's pretty cool in the option that it lets you, have that physical Dragon Step. Another thing I want to mention about Zygarde, I didn't put it to a slide because it's like the only Pokemon that I could really see benefiting from the move that really got it, at least in the draft setting, is Zygarde got Skitter Smack, which is a base 70 or 75 physical bug type move that lowers special attack. This is good for Zygarde because it gives it a coverage move to hit grass types. And usually Zygarde, your way of beating it is having your fat grass come and sit on it, but now your Shaman's not going to check it as well. It probably doesn't take a +1 Skitter Smack very well. It's like max defense, so I figured that was a cool option for Zygarde at the very least, but I didn't think it, warranted its own slide, if that makes any sense. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump on to the next move. Now, despite me saying, Zygarde doesn't get his own slide because, it's the only thing that really got Skitter Smack that really benefits from it, Go-Go got Rising Voltage, and it definitely gets its own slide. This thing is going to be nuts now. I mean, it's already really good, and I don't know if it necessarily breaks it in a draft setting where you can't have it anymore, because things that check Coco will still check Coco. Initially, I was one of the guys like, Coco used to be banned, use it now before it's gone. But upon further looking, the things that checked it before still check it now, so it might not be absolutely busted, but, having that 120 base power move in terrain that you're automatically setting up for yourself is really good for this thing. I think, no, it's 140 because it's 70 and then it's double in terrain. So having that 140 base power move with no drawback to clicking it. You don't even have to risk missing Thunder because Thunder is weaker and it has a worse accuracy. So like there's literally no drawback to ever running this move running Special Coco. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. I think Coco is going to be very, very good. I think Gen 8 Coco, despite the drop in the terrain's power, which everybody's thinking, it's going to nerf Coco a little bit, I think it's the best it's ever been. I think it's one of the best Pokemon in the format with Play Rough and Close Combat, and now Rising Voltage, which we all assumed it would get, but now that it's for sure, it's freaking terrifying. And there is a lot of other electric types that did get Rising Voltage that you can potentially draft with Coco, and see them potentially put on like a really scary electric spam core. I think your best bet is getting a Lola Raichu if you do that, but we already know that gets Rising Voltage. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump on into, I believe it's Poltergeist, what we're gonna talk about next. So like I said, next we got Poltergeist, and this isn't the biggest move for a lot of these Pokemon. I think they really do appreciate it, but it's just a nice little buff for them at the very least. Spiritomb gives it a really strong physical stab, which is obviously really, really cool. I think it had Shadow Claw before, but obviously that buff to it is really nice for offensive Spiritomb sets. I think like Bandit or, just you know, Max Adam and Spiritomb really does put on a lot of pressure on some teams. It has a pretty solid dual stab as well, and obviously a really good defensive typing. Hoopa, Unbound, and obviously, which way do I go to, like, let him show? Where is he? Come on, this is so sad. This is the worst I've ever done. Boat! Little Hoopa, who's actually a ghost type, I think they really appreciate as well. You don't see a lot of, you know, regular Hoopa love in a draft setting, but I think it's very slept on mon. I think it'd be really cool with this move in particular. It's probably the biggest, you know, benefiter on this, at least slide, besides maybe Spiritomb, to get it. But he's tiny, and I wanted to put him in the corner, but I forgot that I would be sitting here. So, there he is, Big Hoopa, and Little Hoopa obviously getting it. And then Giratina, if you're playing in Uber's League, I think this getting a good usable physical stab is awesome for it. It doesn't have to rely on like a Phantom Force or anything like that. I think it's Shadow Claw as well, but I think having that more strong physical option is obviously going to be good, especially for the more offensive version and Giratina Origin. So while I don't think this is like crazy for the Pokemon, it's very good nonetheless. Meteor Beam. Now this isn't the craziest move, but I love it. It has such a cool animation in the game. I wish it was more usable, but it's definitely a niche option that you could definitely use with, like, you know, some power type stuff, and I think that Neoligo is something that can really benefit from it, potentially having a ridiculously strong one-turn move that also boosts your special attack. Is obviously going to be really, really cool for this thing. Diancie's another benefiter, potentially with like some rock polish shenanigans. Don't really see it, but it's an option. I thought it'd be cool to mention at the very least. Next up, we got Expanding Force. Now, obviously, the biggest benefactor of this is going to be Tapu Lele, so I had to throw it on here. Expanding Force is basically just Rising Voltage and Psychic Terrain, and Lele loves that because Lele sets its own terrain. And obviously, that's pretty self-explanatory. It's going to make this thing ridiculously strong again. Despite it having that, again, that loss in the terrain power, I think this kind of makes up for it, at least a little bit. I think with 1.5 terrain and Expanding Force, good lord, that would have been terrifying, but I think it's pretty cool nonetheless. And then we got another Uber on the list. I wanted to put something else with it that could benefit because there are size spam teams, and if you're playing in an Uber draft, I think Dio Attack plus Lele could be really, really scary in the sense that this thing throwing off a 140 base move that doesn't, you know, lower its special attack like Psycho Boost, which I forget the base power of. It could be stronger. Psycho Boost. No, it's about the same. So now you have a Psycho Boost that doesn't actually lower your special attack, which is pretty nuts. So that's obviously super solid for it. And yeah, that's going to be Expanding Force. Let's go ahead and jump on to our last move of the day. And lastly, we got Flip Turn. Now, Flip Turn is a phenomenal... I'm blocking another tiny Pokemon. Blocking another mythical. What is up with me and just being so mean to these little guys today? We're going to move over and kind of go off the screen a little bit so you can see Big Manaphy, because I think it's actually probably the biggest benefactor. Maybe Feeny. A lot of really good water types that are already in the game got this move. I was looking through the list, and pretty much any water type you could think that's coming back did end up getting Flip Turn, but these were the biggest benefactors I could see. I think Floatzel's are really slept on in the lower tiers. It has a solid speed tier. It's pretty strong. I think getting a momentum move in Flip Turn that can do damage with its stab, pretty dope. Manaphy, it already ran U-turn sometimes in some more supportive sets, and some AV sets, and some more defensive sets, and things like that. So I think having the stab one, I mean, it's just better in most instances. It really does help, unless you're trying to punish the grasses that come in a little bit more with a little more damage. But I think it was a cool option nonetheless. And then Feeny got a lot of cool new toys. Another thing that I got that I didn't mention here is it got Terrain Pulse, as did all the Tapus, but none of them are really going to use it because Blue's physical. And then Lele and Coco got Expanding Force and Rising Voltage, respectively. But Terrain Pulse is basically just a stronger Moonblast when you're under terrain, so that's really cool for Lele. It also got Flip Turn, which I think is really cool for it, and Misty Explosion, which is another cool Kaboom Suicide type option. So I think Flip Turn will be really cool on Feeny, especially on maybe some like AV sets or something like that, just to grab momentum. Feeny isn't a Pokemon that's running Calm Mind every week. It doesn't have recovery. It doesn't have the craziest coverage, so having that momentum move is really cool to punish switches and stuff like that, and getting your other wall breakers that Feeny supports. And yeah, that's going to be all the moves. I want to put up my favorite slide because I'm so excited for Salamence to get Dual Wing Beat. Now, let me know what you're most excited about in these buffs, these potential, you know, leaks and stuff like that of the home data mine and stuff like that. Are you excited for Mega Arrow getting Dual Wing Beat? Are you excited for Victini getting Scorching Sands? Bulu getting Grassy Glide is nuts too. Coco Rising Voltage. There's so much to talk about. So I'd love to open up that dialogue in the comments with you guys down below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like if you are new here, or if you're watching the videos and haven't subbed already, please consider doing so. It really helps me out, lets me know you're enjoying what I'm doing, and it's completely free, so why not? We're pushing for 400 by the end of the year, and I would really appreciate it if you guys, you know, were able to help me get there. with your support and stuff like that. So yeah, let me know if there's anything I missed as well down there. And yeah, with that being said, I will catch you guys in the next one. Later.